The BBC has found itself at the centre of a heated debate after Question Time host Fiona Bruce was publicly corrected by an audience member during last Thursday's broadcast, an exchange that has since ignited waves of criticism, praise, and controversy online. The moment unfolded during a special edition of the programme, which examined the global significance of Donald Trump's state visit to the UK and raised a pointed question: what does his presidency really mean for Britain and the wider world? At 61, Bruce remains one of the BBC's most recognisable anchors, but the exchange has once again led some viewers to call for her replacement. The panel in focus. Bruce was joined by a heavyweight panel: Scotland's Secretary Douglas Alexander of the Conservatives, Shadow Housing Secretary James Cleverly, broadcaster and provocateur Piers Morgan, and award-winning playwright and author Bonnie Greer. The discussion was framed around whether the UK should be taking lessons on free speech from the United States, in light of a recent high-profile controversy across the Atlantic. That controversy centered on late-night host Jimmy Kimmel, whose show Jimmy Kimmel Live was abruptly suspended and pulled off air following remarks he made about the aftermath of a politically charged killing. Kimmel's suspension sparks debate. The flashpoint arose after Kimmel commented that members of Donald Trump's MAGA gang were desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of their own, a remark that critics say unfairly implicated right-wing politics in the killing. Leading Democrats, however, blasted the suspension as an attack on free speech and a misuse of corporate power. To them, the decision reflected political pressure rather than journalistic standards. It was against this backdrop that a member of the studio audience directed a question at the panel. The main thing that prompted my question, and it may seem relatively trivial in the grand scheme of things, was waking up this morning and seeing that the Jimmy Kimmel show had been cancelled. Fiona Bruce steps in, and stumbles. Bruce interjected with an explanation aimed at viewers unfamiliar with the U.S. late-night scene. Jimmy Kimmel is a very well-known chat show host in America. In America, he is a household name. The show has been cancelled and taken off the air because of comments he made about Charlie Kirk, claims he made about the person who may have been a suspect in killing Charlie Kirk. This is felt by Donald Trump, and certainly many others, to be deeply offensive. Her framing was intended to clarify, but instead it set off a chain reaction. The audience member quickly pushed back. The comments weren't about Charlie Kirk. They were about the people who were gleefully weaponizing his death to advance their agenda. That was the nature of his comments. Piers Morgan, never one to shy away from confrontation, immediately cut in. That's not true. The disagreement underscored just how contentious and confusing the narrative had become. Viewer reactions split. Almost instantly, Bruce's explanation was seized upon by critics online. One user wrote, "The explanation by Fiona Bruce is total nonsense and is exactly why she should not be hosting #BBCQT, but also why she will continue to do so." Another insisted, "The audience member was correct. I watched the whole show. At no point did Jimmy say anything offensive about the deceased individual." A third chimed in with frustration, "I would love to be on the show when Fiona Bruce is no longer hosting it." Others were more blunt. #Fiona Bruce, get your facts straight, but not everyone agreed with the criticism. Some viewers defended Bruce and rejected the audience member's version of events. The audience member is objectively wrong. It was absolutely about Charlie Kirk. Kimmel explicitly stated that a right-winger was responsible for Kirk's shooting, which is flat out incorrect. He spread misinformation, and he got fired for it. Simple as that. A host under pressure. For Bruce, the moment has added to a growing list of challenges during her tenure as Question Time moderator. While many admire her sharp questioning and ability to steer difficult debates, detractors argue she too often mishandles nuance or appears ill-prepared in high-pressure exchanges. This latest controversy highlights not only the polarized climate around free speech but also the precarious role of broadcast hosts in real-time fact-checking. With social media amplifying every misstep, even a momentary slip can quickly spiral into calls for resignation. Whether the BBC responds to viewer backlash remains to be seen. What is clear is that the line between moderation and misrepresentation has rarely felt thinner.